Hello and welcome to the Dead Air Dudes. I'm Izzy.
I'm Rocco. Welcome, one and all.
Welcome
Hello, Dead
back.
Dudes Nation. It's been a minute. But to get back on track, and first, let me just say, on behalf of Dead Dudes, we fully support the current strike of the actors and the writers. With that said, we're trying our best to review um, material that's been already completed prior to the strike. Really hope that this resolves itself into the best interest of especially the actors and writers and the little guys in the whole thing. But with that said, we are going to venture into Star Wars Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's been widely anticipated, starring Rosario Dawson, the late Ray Stevenson, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, um, and a bunch of others, which I apologize, in advance because I don't know the names off the top of my head. Now, if you are a fan of Rebels and Attack of the Clones and all those animated series, you will enjoy this. Okay, it is a almost a straight up continuation, and if you don't know what's going on, you still enjoy it, right, Rocco?
I believe you will completely enjoy it because very few of the Star Wars tentacles has the same feel as Star Wars itself, where there's this, I mean, everything hangs in a balance between good and evil. Everything's very imminent and very urgent, and only a few characters, the entire fate of the universe hinges on them. It feels very, very dramatic. At the same time, it's action packed. And I think they capture that here.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, Andor sucked ass. And it felt like a pretty long, drawn out drama.
Andor was different. I mean, I appreciate what they did, and it did drag a little bit until it got going, but it wasn't my favorite. Now, Mandalorian with varying results was pretty good. I think they kind of they strayed a bit in the last season, and I think they kind of not to get too into it, but I think they kind of dropped the ball in the end, to be honest with you.
They did. And I'm just very optimistic because this, like we have mentioned, analogous to the sinking ship known as the USS Marvel, is hopefully a saving grace for the Star Wars franchise.
For
They
Disney.
haven't they haven't been gaining ground. In fact, they, like you mentioned, they have been losing viewership and support and been taking a lot of shots critically. This is one character so many people who are really, really ardent canon fans wanted to see further her story.
Right.
And there's some great nuances here that we should get into now with the minimal amount of spoilage. We don't want to spoil it. We do really encourage you to watch it, especially episode 1 and 2 came out last week on a rush job. And soon enough, episode 3 will come out. So this plot line is running concurrent with Mandalorian in a way, 5 years post the Return of Jedi.
Yes.
And without getting too deep into it, so she was a Jedi.
Yes.
A Padawan.
Padawan of Anakin Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker. And she has very strong force. She has a very nice person. I mean, a very like curt personality, almost like a Yoda type.
Yes, but not
but,
as
but not this
as
blind loyalty to the cloth.
Yes, she questions, and she was the first person. Well, I mean, let me rephrase that because I'm not exactly sure, but she chose to leave as you mentioned, the cloth.
Well, real quick, and I know I'm not doing a disservice to all real hardcore fans, but real quick, especially for those that aren't, she was a Padawan. She was in training. She got framed for a bomb that blew up in the temple. She cleared her name, kicked ass. And then when they invited her back, she said, "No, the hell with you."
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, sorry," but
Yeah, which I think all of us will completely empathize with.
yeah, she was like basically, "Screw you guys, and I'm
Yeah,
out."
you're about to torch my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, you all who have the force, who could see right and wrong.
Yes, Yoda was there. So
So with that said, she I don't want to paint a picture that she's a mercenary, but she's more of she's gonna do her own. Ahsoka's gonna do Ahsoka,
yes,
and she's doing it for the greater good.
yes. So yeah, kind of like Mando, but not for selfish reasons.
A little bit like Kenobi,
Yes,
but Kenobi has no choice because the Jedi um, knighthood is over, dissolved, Order 66.
yes. Which, all right. I mean, the problem with these shows, as good as the story is, and Dave Filoni needs to be, given all the credit in the world, as long as
Oh,
well,
absolutely.
but especially Filoni because this is his baby. So I mean, the rich tapestry, the rich history that he's created through Rebels and all these characters are being ran and Bo-Katan and Ezra and Kanan and now Ahsoka and all these characters, Thrawn and I'm probably missing some Chopper and whomever else. It's a lot. It's
It
a
is
lot.
a lot.
You have to remember that this is not. This is still prequel stuff. This is not. You know what I mean. This is still not. It's all before Ray. All before Ray.
Everything leads to Rey.
Yes, all before Ray and all that shit that happened in the last movies. Okay, always
So,
remember that.
so the big bad here is General Thrawn.
Yes,
Again,
Admiral,
another colorful character.
Admiral Thrawn.
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
So before what we all saw as Star Wars: A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, before that, or during that time, around that time. So the rebels were there fighting against the Empire, and one of the members is Ezra, a close friend of all these that you saw here with Ahsoka, Sabine, and the other general, and others. And they were really, I mean, not tight. They're rebels. They were tight. They were more than blood. He got thrown into the interdimensional pathway on these whales with
I thought that was a bit much. But
okay, but here is one of the biggest fan theories which we must address because
go ahead.
the nature of the Force.
Yes.
And
yes.
George Lucas was always adamant that for a galaxy far, far away, but only this galaxy.
All right, but let me interject one thing for all you big time Star Wars canon.
Before I start throwing some hate.
Exactly. We are not full on experts of Star Wars lore. We're fans, but I give myself maybe a B- fan. I'm not super well versed in every single thing Star Wars.
We're not going to go on deep covered tangent conspiracy theories, but what is factually mentioned
would be.
I'm treading lightly, but what was already mentioned here is the fact that there's another galaxy and there's a map, and apparently that's where Thrawn and Ezra are, and you see converging forces trying to stop this admiral, because if he were to come back, everyone acts like they're scared, they're going to soil their jumpsuit if this guy comes back.
Well, look, for comparison's sake or for explanation's sake, Thrawn is probably the most sinister, probably the most intelligent, probably ruthless villain in the Star Wars universe.
Without Force.
Yes, he was a character that was created for the books solely. And then once the books were eliminated, he was still brought upon and he is canon in the Star Wars universe. Okay.
many ways it's good because you don't
Yeah,
have to have the
5,
force.
10, 15, 20 steps ahead of every character. Whatever happens, he allows it to happen as opposed to being surprised. Now, the one thing that happened with the whole Ezra situation, well, that was, you know,
And again, they left everything open, whether he's alive or dead or anything else. But they make two things here, which is great. It's kind of two plot lines going all intertwined. Save your buddy Ezra. At the same time, you must stop the big bad from rejuvenating the Empire. The
exactly.
other beauty that happens here is that since it is happening at the same time with Mendo and all that, and Fett, the Book of Fett, and all that stuff, is there's the whole Mandalorian thing, which is tied into Rebels here. There's the whole Black Saber tied in here. There's the whole unveiled cloning plot, which is tied here. There's the Empire still strong in pockets all over the galaxy tied in here. This could be the binding force that's analogous to Endgame, previous Endgame, prior to Endgame.
Mm. Some, I mean, as we know, Endgame has not really aged well, so maybe not. Maybe we should,
Well, you hope Filoni and crew has learned from others' mistakes.
but yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
the series itself, the first two episodes itself, how did you find the characters, the plot line, the interaction, the special effects?
well, though, not being a fan because I haven't seen the full episode of all the Rebel episodes, etc. I think the characters were for me, they seem to be pretty much on point. Okay. Now, if you had specifics that each character didn't do, but I think Filoni had that shit pretty much down pat. Yeah, Sabine Wren, who seems to be a he had that kind of young, kind of,
Young Anakin,
yeah, kind of
impulsive, brash,
yeah,
self-absorbed, like I know better stuff.
right,
And she's like a child that mother type Ahsoka has to rein in. At the same time, let go a little bit and let her fall.
yeah, yeah. You have Hera Syndulla played by Winstead, who is more of the
He's a general,
general, yeah, more of the leader type, more laid back, where she was more in the action, obviously,
but pretty badass.
in the Rebels. And I wonder if they're going to actually mention, which I mean, doesn't matter, her kid with Kanan, and
Yes. So again, this is only the first two episodes. So I'm sure it's going to be brought up. You want to get to Ray Stevenson's character? I mean, that's
well,
a big
from what
debate.
I know, I know very little. All I know that he was supposedly around the Jedi Temple, and he trained, obviously. And Balin Skull.
He's a big character.
So if you have any more information, maybe you can add.
Again, there's a lot of fan theories. One of the biggest ones running around is okay. You have Jedi's, you have the Sith lords,
Mhm.
and then you have those in between
Yeah.
that want to maintain some kind of integrity. And then again, it ties into where the force came from, what is the force, who is guiding the force,
See,
which makes sense in a galaxy like our galaxy. There is not always black and white. And there's this middle path, those that they're here to safeguard the force, regardless whether you're dark side or light side.
see, but this is something relatively new because this wasn't going on when Lucas had, what was
No, it wasn't, which is also why it's kind of necessary, where done in the right spirit of the law, of the context, why not expand the universe?
no, and I agree because I think there was some fatal flaws that Lucas did when creating. He limited himself, or he
Yes, he
limited
did.
the story with, okay, there can only be two Sith. You have a
Yeah.
master and an apprentice. You can only have, but you could have a shit ton of Jedi's. Order 66 came around and killed the Jedi's. But no, but then you had Kanan who survived. You had Ezra who survived. You had Ahsoka who survived. And who knows whoever
Fucker survived.
if yeah, if the games are canon, then you have other characters in the games who figure who are around. I mean,
Because Vader had an apprentice who's really badass in the games.
Star Killer was Star,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and
Which
they cloned him
that
too.
in itself is a big fan theory that the
Yeah,
character in episode two, minor spoiler, who was in the armor with the fighting Ahsoka on the,
with that double bladed
yes,
saber.
who's an Inquisitor. I forgot the character's name. I apologize, but they're saying that that could be Starkiller. Some people are saying first the first rumor is the fact that it's Ezra, but I don't think it will be.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes no sense. But
But it
after
could
what,
be Starkiller, and if that's the case, that would be freaking awesome.
so you see, there's so it's so juicy. That's what I love about the first two episodes. There's so much juice to bite into, and it's done in such a great way. The fight scenes I love.
I
The
thought
saber
the
action,
scenes
the fighting,
were
phenomenal.
some more
I don't
better
think
than
they
I
spared on
thought, and I give,
CGI.
yeah, I mean, I give the actor. I know obviously you had stunt people, but I give them enough credit to obviously have done some obviously training. So because so it's not always, it's obviously some people, but it's not always all them all the time. So, and yeah, I mean,
So
also
there's
good.
a lot here. There's a lot here to sink your teeth into. Like Mando. Mando was excellent, but it was such a limited segment. So I think that's the other thing that's a lure is that it was Mandalorian and his one journey. Obi-Wan, his one journey. Andor, whatever that was. This, it almost feels like one of the movies
Well, this
because it's expansive.
I go back to what I was saying about Filoni. This is his opportunity to bring his babies to life in live action, and I think this will probably be the bridge to whatever comes next. Because the idea, from what I've read, from what I know, was to have all of the shows interconnect into one final series and or movie, meaning we're talking about Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ahsoka,
I'd
you
rather have a big series, but yes,
have
because it's too much.
have
It's
it
it's
all end up with the big bad being whomever it is, which is why maybe I think it's why they dropped the ball purposely on Mando at the end instead of making it, well, spoilers, instead of having it Snoke or the Emperor clones or whatever the hell. It was a bunch of Gus Frings.
well, it also accomplished one other thing is that it finally brought Baby Yoda up to a bit an opening to what the bigger picture of his destiny is to be.
Record Rocker was kidding. This Grogu. He was trying to be funny.
Yes, but you know what I'm saying is that they were bringing because it shifted from Mandalorian to him,
Right.
and if that is the case, once you get further down the road to Rey and such, you eliminated a lot of Jedi, not all but a lot. You have an entire what 1 million council of Siths in Rey. You got there's got to be balance. That is the key to the whole
But that's the whole
every unit.
thing, man. I don't know, man. I'm a big continuity guy, and it's just I don't know. It's just it's bursting at the seams, and I don't
Well,
know.
because
We'll see.
everything that we thought from the Star Wars movies has a few things have been broken. Like baby Grogu is has the Force, right? He's from a lineage of very strong Force race of aliens of people, but he's a Mandalorian.
But
He chose the Mandalorian path as opposed to the Jedi path.
Sabine Wren is a
Yeah,
Mandalorian. Yeah,
and
she was.
she chose the Jedi path,
Let me ask
or
you this
are we
question.
now going to skew the lines?
Sabine Wren doesn't have the Force.
But are we going to skew the lines
How is
of?
she Jedi, or how is she trained to be a Jedi?
Doesn't mean she's not force sensitive.
Is she?
I think she is, or I think the possibility remains she is force sensitive. You never know, and you heard it here first from Rock. If everybody is force sensitive, you just have to tap into
I mean, but then it doesn't it kind of
everybody, everybody, everybody.
but doesn't it kind of render the force those who are force sensitive, doesn't it render it meaningless if everyone can access it?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of issues, but they've already violated all the issues. Look, if again, this is my biggest beef with the whole Star Wars line. If the Force is an inanimate source of strength and spiritual strength and everything, why is it genetically passed down?
Well, that's the whole thing. Is it genetically passed down? I mean, we thought, but
Exactly.
now it's not.
Exactly. We
Now you
assume
have
it's a
creatures and stuff. Anything can have the force and before
well,
sensitive.
every everything in
Even
every
even random
galaxy,
even random freaking stormtroopers. Or I'm sorry,
everything in
what
every galaxy has to abide by the laws of entropy. You can neither create or destroy matter, the Force, the Sith, darkness, everything. It's there. It changes, but you can't change the quantity. So if you eliminate all the Jedi, that Force has to go somewhere.
I guess.
Well, anyway, okay. Happy recap. It's been fun to watch. It's been a pleasant surprise, and it interjects a lot of hope into Star Wars.
Yeah, for all, I mean, I guess would be the summary of the show so far would be, as we mentioned before, the bad guys. Uh, geez, what's her name? Um,
Don't say Ahsoka.
no. This lady, the lady that was that Ahsoka fought, that she was captured, and she's the one in who was spearheading the whole.
Oh, the one from the prison?
Yes, who spearheaded the whole thing to find
Yeah, because she was one of the minions of Admiral Thrawn. That's why
Morgan Elsbeth. There you go, Morgan Elsbeth. She hires two. For argument's sake, I'm gonna say Sith to break her out of prison or break her out of wherever she was at, and to get this map, which happens to be a sphere, and that tells the exact location or of where Thrawn is, but also is where Ezra is, if as we mentioned before. So you have Ahsoka trying to find that same artifact, which she does, and then she goes to Sabine Wren because she's an artist and she's all this other stuff, and she could decipher it, and then she's also looking for Ezra because they're brother and sister, but I'm not even so sure about that.
but it's also an excuse that Ahsoka used to reconnect with her.
Exactly. So and that's the basic premise so far, without any spoiler, without anything else.
So, what say you? In Ahsoka, we trust.
Bro, I mean, I'm loving it. It actually brought me back. I was pretty pumped for the show when it was announced. Then, as it was coming, I really didn't give a shit. But after watching it, I had to watch it. Then I had to go back and do a little more research and rewatch certain things. And I went back and I really enjoyed it. It was 8 out of 10 so far.
Yeah, man, I'm geeked up for it. 8 out of 10 myself. It's one of the few shows right now. Again, strike and everything happening right now that's slowing the roll. There's a lot of garbage out there. I think this is high quality. I'm very, very much interested. Let's see where this goes. Can't wait for every episode to come out weekly. I believe Thursdays, right? Or Wednesdays.
I think it's gonna be Wednesday. I think it was just I think it
This
was
is the debut.
yeah, just debut Tuesday, but I think it's gonna be Wednesday. I think it's 8 episodes. And we'd like to apologize real quick for our brief hiatus, summer hiatus. But now this is our 250th episode. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody. and we're gonna come back with not so much new content from Hollywood because of the strike, but we're going to bring you guys original content that's going to be stories and a lot of other cool stuff coming very, very soon. Hopefully, we're going to get back on our schedule with a weekly podcast back again.
Fresh, bloody meat every week.
There you go. So, thank you guys. I'm Izzy.
Yes. I'm Raka. Like and subscribe. Remember, give us your feedback. We like to hear from you. Thanks for keeping us going as we march on. And like you said, 250. Holy cow. All right. Remember to always, always save the whales and spade neuter your pets a la Bob Barker.
May the fourth, may the force be with you.
Live long and prosper, mofos.
All right, here.